So I'm hoping that people will be able to hear me soon. Hello. Demi's come say hello too. Yeah, here I am. So if this was a real poetry gig, I think I'd probably be hanging around at the bar, probably trying not to drink too many beers beforehand, and I would definitely be saying hello to everyone. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube, then do drop a hello in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments. It'd be lovely to know who's here. Demi's having a really nice stroke at the moment. So everyone takes a couple of minutes to kind of come in. It's saying going live soon, so I'm guessing it hasn't actually. Is it coming through on YouTube? Yeah. Oh, it is, yeah. I don't think Facebook's quite pulled through.
It is, it's there. I've got it. On Facebook.
Oh. There you go.
Yeah.
It's just that I can't see. I was thinking that there was a comments bit.
It's up at point two.
Oh, maybe I'll just look at yours then. Hey everyone, so I can't see who's here, but I'm hoping that you guys are all there. And I hope you're all alright and getting through this strangest of strange times. But a kind of a last bit of lockdown with an end in sight, potentially. Has anyone had their vaccination yet? Exciting times. So I'm just going to give it a couple of more minutes just to kind of let everyone come in and let the streaming catch up and everything like that, and then I'll turn this music off because it's probably Facebook forbidden anyway. So hey everyone. My name is Emma Joliffe. Thank you to friends that are joining me, and hello to anyone who doesn't know me. I'm a writer, teacher, and sort of wearer of many hats, really. I've been thinking a lot about the sorts of things that have happened during the pandemic, during coronavirus. I think at first I was obsessively scrolling through the news. I don't know about everyone else, but I was really sort of looking at everything that came up, and it was just like this vortex of information. And then I found that what helped was, rather than focusing on that sort of level of stuff, I either had to go in, zoom in and look at the micro and just look at my friends and neighbours and people around me and kind of just focus on that, or go macro and just go sort of like big picture, reading books, listening to good podcasts, listening to things about, you know, the fungal kingdom, because then you just think they've been around for billions of years and we don't matter. So it sort of just gives you a bit of perspective or a little bit of coping mechanism. But I think it is really important to engage with what's going on. And one of those podcasts that I was recommended to listen to was by my friend Matt, who recommended a sociology podcast. On that sociology podcast, it had a amazing sociologist called Akwugo Emejulu, whose specifically worked around austerity and looking at the work of women of colour and the kinds of activism that they took part in and created. And it was a really interesting podcast. I'll drop the link in later if anyone's interested. But one of the things that I loved was that she had coined this term, the politics of exhaustion, which is basically just this idea that people who are so busy with the toil and the work and the drudgery of life don't always get time to be in the driving seat of making decisions, political decisions. And so this is a new poem. It's kind of like a first draft, really, but I hope you guys don't mind me sharing it with you. And it is called The Politics of Exhaustion. Someone has to wipe the shit from the bums of the very young and very old. Someone has to dab the dribble and wipe the worktop. Someone has to listen to the painfully slow, stuttering, halting reading of the child who finds reading hard. Someone has to be patient and kind. Someone has to be tender and mild. Yes, someone has to change the bed sheets, hang out, damp washing, iron, fold, put away, then do it all again a few days later. It never ends, this merry-go-round of soiling, cleaning, washing, drying, soiling again. Meal times, bath times, bed times, tables, times, towels like water down a plug hole as a toddler spits out their strawberry-flavoured toothpaste. Someone has to do it. You can outsource, pay a woman poorer than you, and that's why we're so far from where we ought to be. Because the people who have never wiped a worktop or a bum, who have never even cleaned their own houses, are running things. Because we don't have time or energy. We're burnt out, frazzled wires in a juddering machine. But that machine, it needs us. And I know that the revolution will be whispered at nurseries, will be plotted across kitchen tables whilst babies bounce on knees grabbing fistfuls of soggy food, will be cooked up by cooks, cleaners, chambermaids, carers and nurses, scrubbers in scrubs who have had enough. It's a good job I got my hype man Tane here, isn't it? To make some noise. So that was a poem called The Politics of Exhaustion, and that is something I've been thinking about a lot during pandemic, and I'm really interested in these kind of labels that we get to take on. Because it is International Women's Day, and so I thought even though it's not till Monday, I just thought I would theme my set around that, because it is, it is. There are still so many reasons why we need International Women's Day, and I think for me, I call myself a feminist, and I know that sometimes labels and slogans and things like that can feel like a really important thing because they essentially just help you join a community, I think. Whether you're saying I'm an alcoholic or I have autism or I'm gay or whatever it is, it allows you to join that community, and that's really powerful and amazing thing, because I think that's what we all want as humans, isn't it? Is to belong and to join and be part of something. So but sometimes I think that those labels can hide things, can obfuscate, can obscure things, and can sometimes make people left out and they don't understand. And so that's why I think it's really important to make sure that International Women's Day doesn't get co-opted, and pride don't get co-opted by the forces that really want to co-opt them. They really do, don't they? They want to kind of, a CEO explaining why International Women's Day is important to her, and a Heathrow Airport putting up pride flags when they're deporting asylum seekers. We have to be looking at things in an intersectional way, and that's why I call myself an intersectional feminist, because I know that it's not always just about a kind of slap-on label. It's about the complex and nuanced ways that things intersect. For me, and I don't have all the answers, and I don't know exactly how we do all these things, but what I do have as my vision is just that we start to see the things that have been unseen and the people that have been unseen, and to listen to the people that have not been listened to. And this next poem that I'd like to share with you is about that, really. It's about groups of young girls in places like Rochdale and Rotherham, whose story has been co-opted a lot by the far right. But actually, when those girls were abused, they were, hauled in front of the judge in the court, who said, "Well, you don't look 13 to me." And we've got, cases like Shamima Begum and children who aren't allowed to be children, who are invisible up until a certain point, and then suddenly when they become visible, we deny them so much. So this is a poem about that. I'm going to try playing a song. No, I'll just do it. If anyone had been watching, they'd have seen your legs were bright white as you made your way down the boarded up parade. They'd have seen your knees were knobbly in Primark hot pants, knobbly bobblies from Iceland. You can smell the damp, sweet cardboard of the box they came in as you bite into the ice. And if they'd been looking, they'd have noticed you'd a plaster on your right knee where you'd skinned it at school, where you rushed to get away from a teacher on patrol. That last week of term, all hot and chaotic. And now it's weeks of holidays, stretching out before you like spilt drinks, tall shadows. You call into the takeaway, confidently order chips. They take you to the back room, lured by lurid alcopops, all sticky and fizzy. You giggle and pass it along, take a cigarette and hold it like a pro. But if anyone was looking, they'd see you falter for a second, see your smile fall. They'd see your makeup was applied with your finger. They'd see the faded felt tip on your arm. They'd see your left thumb was puckered from sucking. They'd see your bramble scratches under the bravado. We only see you too late, as broken down write-offs, slag heap, scrap heap, hard-faced, pieces smashed, poor cows. And we missed our chance. Thank you. So yeah, I've been thinking about how we can listen to those people more and how we can see those people more. And one thing that does seem to be getting slightly better, but there's still a long way to go, is in terms of representation. I know there's a big push at the moment for not just having kind of women and queer people and people of colour on the screen, but actually telling the stories behind the cameras, in the writer's room, in the producer's chair, or whatever producers have, throne, gilded throne. But yeah, and I do think that is important, and especially because if you don't have that, if you don't have people in the room, in the the boardroom and the workroom and in the kind of writer's room, then you end up with misrepresentation of and you only get one side of reality. You only get one person's story. And so that was really clear to me. I used to be a really big fan of zombie fiction. I don't know if anyone else is a big fan of zombie apocalypses. I feel like they probably had their day a little bit. Like maybe we just had a few too many zombie apocalypse fictions in the end. But yeah, it did go a little bit far, didn't it? But for a while, I was really into zombie apocalypse things. I even used to have zombie apocalypse dreams. I don't know about anyone else if you've ever had the zombie apocalypse dream. It's quite fun. Yeah, I realised as I was watching one of those shows or films that the way women were being portrayed, I was like, this was definitely written by men, because this is not how it would go down. And so this is a poem about that, and it's written as a letter to the makers of the zombie apocalypse fiction. Dear makers of zombie apocalypse fiction, I've been watching a long time. You had a depiction of women. Well, you got something wrong there. Not their smooth underarms or salon fresh long hair. That's okay. I'll suspend disbelief that somehow they're still shaving and brushing their teeth. But your men, okay, they're made of strong stuff, or wife-beater vests, bulging biceps and buff, narrowed-eyed, chiseled jaw, or grizzled and gruff. So, okay, yeah, we get it. They're tough and strong enough to pick up an axe and chop up a zombie in great macho hacks. But they'll get snuck up on. Teeth sunk into shoulder flesh. Because they've had no practice. They really just don't expect that. But us, we've had years to master the quickening footsteps, our hearts beating faster, the frequent over-the-shoulder glances, the skittering off from unwanted advances, the staggering, shuffling drunks on a night out. We're used to watching our back when the light's out. With makeshift weapons, Wolverine claws, made of khakis. When shadows are pooling indoors, we walk centre road, avoiding the edges, the dark shapes we see, the wheelie bins, hedges. This was training, avoiding the hands that clutch, the grasping, the grabbing, the unwanted touch. And they might have been others after, some other bit of us, but Jesus, come on, the way that you've written us, screaming, stumbling, flailing, in tears. Nah, man, we've been in training for years. Thank you. Now, I think the thing is with the zombie apocalypse, I say that like, oh yeah, women would we'd be fine in the zombie apocalypse, but I do know that actually in actual real life, I would probably die really quickly in any kind of zombie apocalypse scenario or horror film type thing, just from like tripping over. Like it would be really shit and annoying. I'd probably survive quite far and then I'd just trip and then the thing would get me and I'd just be set upon. So yeah, I feel like I really aspire to being those kind of final girls in the horror film, the really hard ones that are really tough. And I thought for International Women's Day, what might be quite fun is for us to play a game, which we can do hopefully using, hi Kim, using the comment box. So it is a competition. There will be prizes, maybe, but definitely the glory of being the winner. So what I'm going to do is I decided that I was going to write some poems about the women that are the fictional female characters, fictional femmes that I aspire to be. And then it was quite interesting that I'd set myself that challenge because I realised that being hard was obviously one of the things that I really aspired to be as someone that would die really quickly in the zombie apocalypse. But also I realised that having the kind of really obsessive mental sort of work ethic was obviously something that I aspired to as well, because I guess I do work hard, but I really also like the bits of life that aren't work, like just dancing and drinking and partying and lying on a beach, having cocktails. Like, I just, I enjoy those too. And I wish I was a sort of Carrie Matheson type with my writing board. I think that's probably why I'm a poet, because I'm so easily distracted that actually it's such a short form of writing, it's such a short form of communication. It's very concentrated and efficient. I like it. Perhaps if I had that kind of Carrie Matheson approach, I would be much more I'd get more writing done anyway. So yeah, that's the game. I'm going to say a short silly poem, and the end of the poem is the character's name. So you have to be quick. It's like fastest finger first. You've got to get in that chat box and see if you can guess. Okay. So is everyone ready? This is the first one. A gallery curator and later a dean, a sharp-dressing, no-messing, wing-collared queen. Maybe one day she'll be mayor of LA. She's everyone's favourite executive gay. She's eating a brunch, cheating on Tina, treating everyone meaner and meaner as the seasons progress, and she's such a hot mess. Doing it all, in the end, for her daughter, we all stand a high-powered hottie, Bette Porter. Okay.
So wait, there's a delay.
I know there is.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so
Okay,
let's see if anyone's coming in the comments for that one. Da da da.
okay. No one.
Oh, I think the winner might be Katie Bonner.
Yeah.
Oh, well done. Well done. Amazing. You didn't give her full name, and she is definitely a full namer, but that's okay. Yeah. I don't know her last name. How can you forget Bet Porter? Okay, so well done. First prize to Katie Bonner, and she does live near me, so I can go and give her some sort of. That is from. Sorry, for anyone who doesn't know, Bet Porter is from the sort of. I guess it was like the lesbian version of Sex and the City, a sort of quite trashy. Was it on Showtime? It was on Showtime, wasn't it? Showtime show from the early 2000s, mid 2000s, yeah. Which went through many series and was really ridiculous. But yeah, Bet Porter was my favourite character. She was so executive, and she always was dressed for just to kill. Yeah, she had those very big collars that they had in the mid 2000s. Okay, so this is my second character. See if you can guess this one. She was just a waitress at Big Jeff's, running late, bussing plates in a pink dress. Then a Cyberdyne System Models 101 turns up at Technoir, going to spoil her fun. Carl Reese her baby daddy, but it's Maddie's from the future, sent by her son, teach her how to shoot a gun. Time paradox, then she's locked in an asylum for prophesying Judgment Day on August 29, and she gets proper hench, doing pull-ups on her bed. She hits a rapist with a truncheon on his head, and she sticks a syringe in an orderly's neck. She don't take orders no more, no heck. Mess with this mama and you're a goner. You terminated, fucker. It's Sarah Connor. There's a slight delay, so I just have to wait and see who was first to jump into that chat box. Anyone guess that one?
I'm on YouTube. Katie again.
Oh,
Siddy.
Katie and Siddy, well done. Okay, I think you still won. I think you're just bossing this game. Yeah, I love Sarah Connor. Again, very obsessive. I'm very focused on her task.
Paul said it as well.
Oh, Paul, is he
on YouTube.
On YouTube. Okay, Paul, I'm glad, because that was especially for you, especially for Pooh.
And Rupert as well.
Oh, well done, everyone. Okay, good. I'm glad we all knew our Sarah Connor lore. Well done. Yes, Sarah Connor is the best, isn't she? The bit where she does the pull-ups, just so good. Okay, so I hope, I didn't realise Nudge was watching. Well, hopefully she'll be first with this one then. This is my third and final fictional female character for you to guess. So, fastest finger first, guys. Oh my god, that's so many Fs. Fastest finger first, fictional female character, go! She's always on the case, never rests, never stops, running rings round all the other cops, out catching clues while the others just sit there, doing it all in some nice pattern knitwear, looking mid or distance. Because she got a hunch, wolfing down a smoothborough or something for her lunch. She's chasing killers around Copenhagen, finding out who killed Nannabert Larsen. How's she going to work with Jens Peter Raben? Showdown in the Memorial Garden, taking a bullet right in the chest. Lucky she wore her bulletproof vest. If you find yourself a victim buried in the ground, blue lights flashing, police tape all around, sniffed by the nose of a helpful hund, let's hope your detective is Sarah Lund. Yes, I love her. Oh, that was good, Siddy. You were in the right Nordic area with your Lisbeth Salander, and Miss Marple was very. I would nearly wrote a Jessica Fletcher poem because I do love Angela Lansbury. Yeah, well done. Well, so Katie was first on Facebook. Did anyone get it on
Paul
YouTube?
said Jessica Fletcher.
Paul said Jessica Fletcher.
Katie's bossing it.
Katie, you are winning at this game. In fact, Katie, I think you might be the Carrie Matheson of my writer friends. That is amazing. Well done. Thanks, guys, for playing that silly game with me. So one of our friends, Nudge, did have it does look a little bit like, is it Sophie Krebel? I don't know how to say her name, actually, with the proper Danish pronunciation. But our friend Nudge does look like her, so especially in some nice knitwear. So it's fitting that you would have guessed that. And I just thank you guys for playing that with me, that silly game. International Women's Day. I feel like this year we really, really need to talk about lots of things. But there's so much that's kind of come up for me. Just walking my dog and talking to other dog walkers about their domestic situations. And the fact that things seem to have gone backwards for a lot of women who are living in heterosexual partnerships. I suppose I'm quite lucky in that I'm not in a heterosexual partnership, so I don't have that kind of pre-set up gender role that it's so easy to fall into, and that are kind of already there for us, that we have to really examine them and make sure that we're not falling into them, I guess. And being queer kind of instantly takes you out of that setup, I guess. Though not saying there aren't other harmful frames that it's easy to fall into, but a lot of women I know have ended up doing the real bulk of caring and homeschooling and doing things at home. And this is a poem that I wrote a while ago based on a real person that I saw in real life. And it's about that sort of slight imbalance, which might be barely noticeable, but it's definitely there. And it's called co-parenting. He's looking up at the coffee options with his baby strapped to his chest. Though not wearing it like a terrorist vest, nervously, like some do, constantly checking the sleeping head. No, this man is proud, insouciant, his infant thrust into the world like a medal, an accessory. And I imagine his Freitag bag to be stuffed full of baby wipes and crayon-coloured organic baby food pouches. He takes his wallet from his back pocket where it's attached to his chinos by a chain keyring and takes out a note, asks for an oat milk flat white, then drifts across the steam-clouded cafe. A few minutes later, I hear a baby crying and turn to see him on the phone. Rachel, where's the terry toweling bib with the elephant on? He demands. No, I've looked. It's not. And he gives one last cursory glance inside his bag. I'm just going to come home, okay? That is something that we need to talk about. Another thing that I think we need to be also talking about this International Women's Day is about the fact that that rape reports of rape are at an all-time high, whereas convictions for rape are at an all-time low since records began. I think there are so many reasons for that, which probably we don't want to spend too long talking about now, but I just think, what do we have left if we don't have convictions, if we don't have any recourse when these things happen? What do we have? So this is a poem. I actually wrote it for there's a kind of month where you can write a poem every day. I got confused with the novel one. Yeah. Anyway, it's like a poem a day for a month in April, which I might do again this year, but I don't know if anyone else is going to do it. But it's the poem. They give you a little provocation each day, a little prompt, and the prompt was write some advice. So this is really just advice for anyone who is in the situation of having no recourse, no kind of course of action. When you hear that word, shut your eyes tight. Picture a violently yellow field stretching for miles wide. When you see a news story about footballers, hotels, quickly turn the page or click the cross, make it go away and smooth down your mind like a skirt or a duvet. When you feel someone stand too close or a colleague hold your arm for just too long at the Christmas party as they slur hot words at you and your insides lurch. Your legs want to buckle and you're struck still, frozen for an endless seeming second. Pretend it's a fairground ride. Pretend you paid £3. Pretend it's an ice bucket challenge or a bungee jump. Breathe. There's a cinema in your head where they only show this film over and over on a loop. When you find yourself in there, alone in the dark, excuse yourself. Shuffle out. Walk the threadbare aisle through the doors into a brightly lit foyer. Such a plastic plant. Ignore the muffled sounds of the film seeping through. It will always be there. Find ways to drown the roaring. Dip your head underwater. Blast sound in both ears. Hold tight and fierce to life. Don't let them see what they did to you. Thank you. So yeah, that's something that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Please do keep dropping comments in the comments box. It's really nice. It's like, another thing. So I was talking earlier on a little bit about labels and the kind of labels that when they feel useful and like you're part of a community. And I've always kind of struggled with labelling my sexuality, just because I feel like I've kind of jumped about. When I first came out, I said I was bisexual. Then I sometimes say lesbian because I feel like politically that's something that I want to be. I sometimes say queer because that's something politically I want to be. And I love the idea of queerness and queering things. But one thing that's been like incredibly upsetting for someone who labels themselves as a feminist and labels themselves as a queer person, as a lesbian, is the treatment of trans people, my trans siblings, in recent times, and especially this crazy focus on trans women, and this whole sort of bizarre notion that cis men are just going to pretend to be trans women in order to harm cis women. And it's like, they don't need to do that. They're already harming us. Like, this is already happening. They don't need to dress up as women, and that's not what's happening. So yeah, this is and the obsessiveness of transphobic people. It's upsetting. I can't imagine how upsetting it is for people in my community, trans people in my community. And a few years ago, I think it was 2017 or 18, at the Labour conference, some of them put up a billboard, and again, weirdly, because they're very online and they're very in this world, they use this kind of language which to them is very meaningful, and actually if you're outside of that community, it doesn't really, you might not even notice it, you don't really know what it means. And they put the sort of set up to look like a dictionary definition: woman, adult human female. And it's this kind of biological essentialism of saying you cannot be a woman unless you are born with certain chromosomes or body parts, and it's just, to me, just so reductive. So this is a poem. It's called One Billboard in Liverpool, Merseyside. Am I a woman? Are you a woman? Is she a woman? What a boring question. And really, I know your answer. You're there snapping up skirt shots or pulling down my trousers to point at what's between my legs. You're fixated on anatomy. Your fingers surge and bloody as you trawl through entrails into your prodding, probing digits, poke and seek to find what you think makes me a woman. A question I find more interesting, a question I venture we ought to be asking, is what kind of woman are you? Are you a woman who stands shoulder to shoulder, links arms with your sisters, holds fists to the sky, fighting? Are you a woman who supports other women, lifts them high? A woman who is generous, expansive, imaginative, a creator? I do not mean what we may or may not make with our wombs, but a woman who makes space, makes room, makes the world a better place. There are so many ways to be a woman. I see women weightlifting and smashing down dumbbells, women whose arms are a crisscross of scars, Women who swallowed knives whose scars are inside. Women lifting up the bonnets of cars and rolling up sleeves, because right now there are women smuggling babies across borders and being detained indefinitely. And there are women in boardrooms giving orders to keep them there. There are women in prison for non-payment of fines or shoplifting. Baby formula, the crime of poverty. There are women in headscarves, navigating backstreet mazes, running the gauntlet of a red brick ginnel as spit hits the stones at their feet. There are women who are going without food so their children can eat. There are women who children laugh at because they are hairy-chinned. There are women. There are many kinds of women. I know women who are sweeping, grand, who hold space with grace. I know loud women whose words land with a thud. I know women who bite their tongues so hard their mouths fill with blood. I know women whose minds are sunlight, fierce rays. I know women whose minds are mist, nebulous cobwebs, dew-kissed. There are so many ways to be a woman, in mind, heart, body and soul. Our atoms were forged in the cores of stars. We are a fucking galaxy. And so I ask, what kind of woman will you be? Thank you. Tane is doing a lovely job clapping here. Thank you, Tane, for my little cup. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm just going to do like one more poem, I think, if that's all right with you guys. And I think it's been really, really lovely. Thank you for letting me share all these poems tonight, and to feel like there's people out there watching is really, really nice. What's that? So one thing that is obviously really important to me is my voice. I use it all the time. Use it in my job. I use it for saying poems to you guys. I use my voice a lot. So and it has always struck me that some voices carry a lot more weight than others. In fact, that recently really struck me when I started watching the Adam Curtis documentary. And I don't know, I'm really apologise if there are some huge Adam Curtis fans watching. But I find it really, really, he just makes these big statements that you think, is that true? But he sounds so confident, and he has that Adam Curtis BBC voice, doesn't he? And everything must be true that he says, well, over Osama bin Laden. So, so I just, I think, again, it kind of links back to what I was saying before about trying to hear people that haven't been heard and see people that aren't seen, and trying to listen, which is something that I need to definitely do more and be better at, but I'm trying. And yeah, I want a diversity of voices to be heard, and sometimes just the voice that carries can stop us from listening so much. So this is a poem about that. Shout out to Wally, who once made me a lovely video for it, and it's called Pigeonhole English. This is the BBC World Service. How queer they sound to us now, how clipped those vowels. Lord Reith, first General Manager of the BBC, was most insistent his listeners should only hear RP, received pronunciation, both overseas and here in this great nation. Nowadays, of course, we laugh. We're so much more accepting than in the past. We've got James Naughty on the radio, and Lorraine Kelly on the telly. You'll hear one from Glasgow, but that'd be a wee bit silly. We've got Glynns and Hughes reading the news, so well done us. And we love an Irish accent, a cheeky Irish scamp, especially when they're a wee bit camp. But have you noticed, it's never Belfast, never interviewing. So, Prince William, how are you doing? And Johnny's, why I'm a welling, and on deck, Cheryl Cole, I'm on, the voice of a little dog in a charity ad. Well, there's no just where again. Lovable, friendly and clownish, but you know us reading the news like. Angela Merkel has drawn into a circle the Social Democrats in a coalition. Well, would you listen? Well, why not? And have you forgot about us northerners? Nothing says earthy humour more than us. You need an angry factory worker, or a jolly one, or someone to say, none of that foreign muck to a vol au vent, just calling us. But we don't do intellectual. You'll not see a culture show with two of us debating the finer points of Foucault, and none of us actually say Fouk, you know. And if you're from the Midlands, you can be a stand-up comic, feel free, and you can go and appear on a game show. Hello, my name's Barry and I work in IT. But we've never had a Prime Minister called Barry. No one that speaks like this. And that's got to tell you something seriously, frightfully amiss. And that brings you round our way. What's this voice good for then? Advertising bakeries or butter? The voice of a cartoon hen? And if you're from Brazil, then for shizzle, people think you're a proper slow man. Like, can you imagine a nature programme? Oh, here we are. A leopard seal. Oh my god, that Gert Shark's totally got him. So, what about us Southerners? We win this game, yeah? Cultural governors? No, what? Hang on, that ain't fair. Because if you're from Essex and speak with an estuary elocution, you ain't nothing but a stereotype. A social climbing, aspiring chav, and you, some, won't never read the news each night. Because no one wants to hear about fit for 100 companies and quantitative easing. Because to our ears, that sounds ain't pleasing. That's because our ears are prejudiced. Our ears are narrow-minded, and our ears need to be opened, because for too long we've been blinded. One of the best things about this tiny island is the wicked mad jumble of noises. I mean, can't imagine anything worse than if we all homogenised our voices. So let's stop pigeonholing our patois, and let's stop typecasting our tongues. Let's elect to let our dialects digress from this path and sing new songs. Why should one voice speak with gravitas and authority? Let all voices ring out with simple, sincere surety. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much also to Audiotrope for having me and for all their lovely support. And it's been really fun. I miss spoken word nights. I can't wait until we can all be together and hear a lovely, beautiful multiplicity of voices, like I was just talking about. Because I love, this has been great, but I also love just hearing people's voices in a room. I think there's something really electrifying and special about that. So please do follow me on. Don't update my Facebook very often, but please do follow my Facebook. Or just keep in touch with me via my website. I would love to see you all at a proper gig soon. Once we can do that. But in the meantime, this has been lovely. And thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And I'll stay online and have a little chat now. But thanks everyone.